KSW.
Our next guest is the man that gave us Trainspotting 28 Days Later, amongst plenty of other films, and his new movie is amazing. When you see it, you're never going to say Millionaire the same way, as the film is based around the TV show Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Please welcome to the show, Danny Boyle.
Danny,
hello.
Look at Danny with the old school. Is that Transformers?
It's for those who have a Michael Bay fear. I think you have to confront it every day. So.
There you go.
There you go.
That's awesome. Bay fear. That's fantastic. Danny, it is a pleasure to have you in. First of all, we are just so honored that a person of your stature who's done movies that a lot of us love a lot. Here you are in our studio. Thank you so much for coming in.
It's a pleasure. It's absolutely lovely to be here.
I'm glad you are coming in because then I had to go do my homework again. I haven't seen Trainspotting for years, and I got to watch that again. And I mean, what a treat, man! You just put some wonderful movies together. Thank you.
Oh, thanks very much.
And not for nothing, I hope Ewan McGregor gives you a piece of every pie he takes a piece. I mean, where would Ewan be if not for the movies that he's done with you? That he's played some great characters in your movies.
I know he's been. I saw him. Have you seen that TV show he does where he rides around the world on a motorbike?
I haven't seen that yet.
I've seen that.
Have you seen that?
Yeah, it's absolutely awesome, and he is such a movie star in it just because he's so relaxed. And he on these two BMW bikes, him and this other bloke, Charlie Borman, they ride around the world once that way and once that way. Once over the top and once around the middle, and. It's all the things that happen to them on the way, and you should see it. It's absolutely extraordinary. If you want to see a movie star kind of like suffering, it's fantastic, which is always a good thing to see, of course. Watch that show. It's very good.
Well, I'll tell you, Danny, I mean, what you've done in your movies, and, of course, Slumdog Millionaire, which is coming out November 21st, which, I'm so happy because I'm hearing the Oscar word thrown around already for this movie, and it's an accessible movie. It's a movie that, anybody would want to go see because it's got plenty of action, and for us Americans, it's got the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire connect, so we can totally relate to the theme of the movie, but it's done in such a great way.
Yeah, I don't mean to sound like a super freak about it, but goddamn, it's an amazing movie. I mean, seriously, dude. Like, I want to see it again right now. Like, I've been talking to my girlfriend about it. I'm like, we have to go see this when it comes out. It's a great story. We keep talking about how it's action-packed, it's funny, it's heartbreaking, it's everything. You're the man.
Plus the fact it's got this host who can't pronounce millionaire.
That guy
he's fantastic. When he first started doing it, I thought, shall I tell him? Because it's his first film he's ever done in English, because he's normally does films in Bollywood, where they do hit in Hindi. And he was very nervous about doing it in English, and he said, Who wants to be a millionaire? And I thought, shall I say anything? And then for some reason, either it was genius or fear, I thought, no, don't say anything. No. And he got more and more confident with, Who wants to be a millionaire? And he starts shouting it more and more. Anyway, so that's, it's great, actually. It's very, it's good fun, yeah. It's an extraordinary story about, which some people say is true. You can't find out whether it's true or not, which sounds stupid, but it's about this kid who goes on, he has nothing, he's a slum kid, and he goes on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and he wins it. He wins the top prize, and they can't believe it. And as they do in India, if you do anything wrong, the police torture you. It's just kind of regular. Anything worse than a traffic offence, you're going to get slapped around a bit. But actually, he's done it. He's genuinely done it. He's answered all the questions because of things that have happened to him in his life. But, of course, he has a different reason why he's on the show. He hijacks the show, in effect, because his real reason is to find this girl, this beautiful girl who he's loved and lost in the chaos of Mumbai.
So now here's what I'm going to throw at you, Danny, just because I am really kind of an India geek because of my wife. She just loves Indian culture. But this really sounds, and we have a lot of folks that work at Microsoft who have come from India, so a pretty good Indian contingent here in the Pacific Northwest. But did you have any influence of that old Vedic mythological story, the Ramayana, which is Rama's going after Sita, trying to get her from the bad guys, and that was it's a huge piece of Indian mythology.
And it seeps into Bollywood culture, and it seeps into all culture, and the stories that you're telling are absolutely classic. Like this one is particularly about two brothers, and him and his brother, and his other brother is a bad brother. Basically, their mother dies and in a terrible act of violence, and one brother turns to violence and vengeance and guns and money, and our hero, of course, actually turns to love, if you like. That's a classic, absolute classic storytelling there. It's full of all this rooted stuff, and what's extraordinary is you get all this cultural history with India, and then you've got the new India, the Microsoft India, if you like, which is exploding. The economy there is exploding. And I went there, like the British ruled there until 1947, I think. And I went there expecting them to remember me, you know, in some kind of... not me personally, obviously, but, you know, just remember the British. They don't even see the British now. They don't even... We're just like a footnote, you know. Their competitors are... You know, those economies around them, like Russia and China, and then America, you know, in the long run. They're aiming for the big, you know, the big ballpark.
It looked like you went into some pretty dangerous spots, too. Like, I heard you actually filmed some of that stuff in places that even Indian people don't even go and film.
They were shocked, yeah. The guy who wrote the book it's based on said... We asked him about which slum it was based on. He said, I've never been to a slum. And he said, and I would never go in a slum either.
I mean, it was ugly.
Why would I want to go in a slum? I have a very comfortable life. No, we went in, there's an amazing slum called Dharavi, which is said to be the biggest slum in the world. And it's a very pejorative word in the West. We use it in a kind of... But actually, they're wonderful people. Once you get to know them, they're absolutely amazing. They don't have any sewers or any running water or stuff like that. But actually, they've got everything else in abundance, you know, and big hearts, you know, so it's...
That's Double R. My wife, she loves India. She's gone there multiple times. And,
she wants to move there.
And she wants to go there. And it's interesting because we watched that movie and a lot of us go, why would you want to do it? But my wife has said what you said, Danny, is that they have big hearts, that deep spirituality that's so, you know, ripe in their culture still seems to shine through, even though they live in these, like you said, the biggest slums in the world.
Yeah, no, it's an extraordinary place. And they said, when we went there, they said, this place, there's 1 billion beating hearts here. They said, make sure you represent them all, and you'll have done okay. And that's terrifying. You think, how are we going to get them all in? And what you do is you don't exclude anything. Like, normally in the West, you're kind of shaping material so it's coherent, so it makes sense. So there's transitions from one thing to another thing. You can't do any of that. Just pile it in. Because it's the best way of representing it, because everything is there, jammed, smashed up against each other, you know? Everything, poverty, huge wealth, the extremes that are there. You see people who've been maimed to make them better beggars. You know, they've been deliberately physically maimed.
And you cover that in the movie.
Yeah. Oh, man,
you can't
avoid it. It's horrific.
That was a tough scene. That was a tough scene, man. Because I've heard rumors about that, but you know, you wonder, is it really true? And then you cover that in the movie in a very powerful way.
But you
really,
can see it. You can see it every day. You see that kind of stuff every day. And but then the kind of moral horror you feel about that is not any use to you there. You just want to go home, or you want to give the guy $1,000. You just want to give him some money, but then the money just goes straight to a gangster who runs the spot he begs in, you know. So it actually, what you're doing by that, ironically, is you're just confirming that world order, you know, the way that those things are. So what you've got to do is you've just got to try and see it from the perspective of the people themselves, really, which is... So we start the film with a kind of chase sequence through the slums because we just wanted to tumble everybody into the film so that you're either going to leave with a migraine after 5 minutes or you're going to stay and enjoy the whole film, you know.
The BJ Shea Morning Experience on 99.9 KISW.